Before we begin, thank you very much to Primeverse611 for joining the Patreon campaign. And I can't remember which universe that is. Is that the one where Optimus has 6 arms? I don't know. But point being, thank you very much for the support. Genuinely appreciate it. I say it every time because it is true every single time. I need that to keep this channel going and to keep the daily content coming. So anyone who is generous enough to pitch in, I appreciate it greatly. Thank you for allowing me to continue to do this nonsense for you guys every day. But that said, today's nonsense is a Monday, which means it's time for a news roundup. And believe it or not, even though they dumped a metric ton of news on us, and we've already done several videos about it last week, there's still more Transformers news to cover. For instance, we have new photos of the in-hand Age of the Primes Aerialbots, at least the first 3 that currently exist. No, this is not a weird third-party toy. The Uranus thing, that's the photographer. Confused me at first, too. So it's really just in-hand shots of exactly how this guy looks, a lot more close-up than Hasbro would get with their photography. So nice to see. It actually gives you a good look at the more animation-accurate Superion using the skeletal combiner system that they have been doing for generations. I have heard a lot of discourse about this combiner system. To be frank with you, I'm perfectly fine with it, as it still does allow you to have a proper set of combining characters, and yeah, they end up having more robust engineering, better joints, more articulation, more accuracy. Yeah, it's a best of both worlds kind of thing. Like, if you just want all the toys just straight combined with each other, then yeah, go find Combiner Wars figures. So, individually, these guys do look great regardless of how you feel about the combining system. And yeah, Silverbolt looks nice and bulky in the right spots and nicely colored. Silverbolt in the cartoon didn't have the most interesting color scheme. I did notice kind of a lack of paint, especially around his like midsection, but that's accurate to him. Nothing I can really do about that, unfortunately. Concord mode looks about what it always used to. It's a Concord, but it's got a big block of robot underneath it. There's the Super Concord, which is absurd and ridiculous, and I kind of love it. So that's another thing. All right, and then we have Air Raid. Air Raid's just kind of there. He's just kind of like... Air Raid feels very generic amongst the bots, because he's just wearing like the black parts of the jet become the back, and then he's just like normal white and red figure. Slingshot's got a little bit more going on. Like, he at least has a unique head sculpt that makes him stand out. It's a nice little start. Nice little start. I still hear a lot about the vehicle mode on Slingshot as well. That's completely accurate to his original toy. I don't know what any of you are talking about. My concerning thing here is, you look at the leg. My hope was that they would sink into the leg farther than that in order to like have like maybe just the jet parts sticking out the back of the leg, and unfortunately that doesn't seem to be the case. It's the same trapdoor engineering that Menassor's combination mode had, and unfortunately, instead of just the car plugging to the back of the leg, it is just a folded up jet and a robot sticking out the back. It's not nearly as clean, doesn't look as good. I'm not really happy about that part of this. So there's definitely some legitimate criticism about how these toys are being pulled off, but I'm willing to wait and see how they feel in hand, and if if Menasor can get, if like Motormaster can get away with that framework and be a really nice toy as a result, I'm willing to give Silverbolt a chance. I will tell you about it when I get it in hand. Moving on, we have behind-the-scenes stuff for the Age of the Primes. Starting with new pictures of Solus Prime, the deluxe, and a lot of people have been like getting really, really into this design. It's a really, really good take on Solus here, shown with what is totally not Bandai-made Dragon Ball Z effect parts. Totally not. Yeah, she looks really, really good for a deluxe. The paint is actually pretty good on her, with plenty of gold strewn about her design all over the place. You get silver painted on as well. Puts a lot of deco into it, which is really, really nice. They made a big deal about the bottom of her hammer also being able to come off and act as a grenade, so you have that as an additional accessory if you so choose. And then, yeah, the vehicle mode continues to just look really, really cool. I don't know who the retools are going to be, but I love how this vehicle looks. I feel like they're intentionally protecting us from seeing the backside of the vehicle mode, because you can tell it's her legs folded in half, because those wheels are on the back of her feet in robot mode. You can see them there. So it looks like her legs just kind of fold in half, like 180 degrees, and then those shin pieces become the back of the truck. I'm a little bit worried that the backside of the truck is going to look a little bit too broken up. The rest of her looks pretty good, though. She actually gets away with it with minimal kibble, which is really nice. Yeah, and apparently you can also use it as a cannon barrel if you actually want to put it on that way, too. Yeah, the hammer looks good as well. Don't show the courtship. That's always the weird part of the fiction. Yeah, and there's your... there's the original concept art. I think the final version looks better than the concept art does. I think that came out way better. Yeah, she might be the one I'm looking forward to the most. I cannot wait to see like what they do with her, how many retools they get. Someone suggested Mistress of Flame, which is not a bad call if you switch that hammer out for her staff. That might be a thing. We will see. We also have brand new, just before I started recording this came up, Prime, also behind the scenes. Now, the behind the scenes info that they're putting out really isn't all that great. It's mostly just like the hype fluff stuff. I would have loved to have known the process behind choosing to do the G1 style head rather than the aligned continuity. But I'll take it for what it is. Now, I really like how this thing is looking. This was described as a lunar cruiser mode, which actually has a hover mode, which is kind of neat. You can also store the Starsaber in the back as something of a fin in the back. I think it looks good there. Gives it a little bit more detail and color. The front can become a ramming and impaling bumper. Nice. They do describe that as the creation matrix, so I'm assuming that, it might be different than the one Prime comes with, though it's supposed to be the original matrix of leadership. They have intentionally gone against the traditional coloring, though, so not quite sure. Still uses it as a hilt, everything. And apparently they're doing this like weird meta story amongst the toys where certain characters are descendants of the Primes, and apparently Red Alert is a descendant of Prima. Wouldn't have called that. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but you know what? Okay. Whatever. Okay. I have seen someone, there's a Photoshop going around the socials of someone putting him into, quote, G1 cartoon colors. And I can agree that one looks good too, but that's also not accurate to how he looked. The one that's going around is dark gray. He's kind of a dark pale blue in the cartoon. I want to see someone Photoshop that. But I'm pretty sure we'll just get that as a retool at some point. Maybe with a switched up chest door. But point being, I'm looking forward to this thing. And this is one of those fluff pieces that actually showed off the kind of things that make me more interested in it. Like the different ways that you can display and use the vehicle mode. That's kind of cool. That makes me more interested in it. If you want a little bit more hype, the video that they were showing at the which was it? I completely forgot the name. CybertronCon. How did I forget that? But yeah, the video that they were showing on the screens there is now available online. So now you get nice, clear images of the sample artwork they showed off, giving us teasers of all the upcoming characters. There's the artwork for Superion that we had not seen before. Looks like he's getting a giant rifle weapon along with everything else. Yep, there's Wasp. There is Heatwave, Crasher, who we've kind of seen already. She's a re-release. I'm glad she's going to be in a main line. There's Red Alert. There's Vortex. I think this is fascinating that we actually see Vortex before we see Swindle, considering we found out Swindle was going to be a thing before Vortex. I also think it's interesting that they are actually like announcing via this, they're announcing another combiner's on the way when they're still in the middle of making the current combiner. Interesting thing to do. Yeah, I'm excited for this. Like it's got me properly hyped. I'm actually looking forward to this line. Authentics is not quite done. Like, I don't really see much of them anywhere, but apparently, yeah, like we can still get Authentics figures released. This is from overseas, so never mind that Toys R Us sticker in the bottom right corner. No, it's not making a comeback in the U.S. as far as we know. It's just, you know, it just happens to still exist in some other countries. Point being, the Authentics is releasing an Energon Mirage. You know, so if you have not looked into Authentics, they are very, very cheap Transformer figures. Generally very low articulation, very hollow, but very large and simple to transform for their size. They are designed to be toys you'd grab for a little kid who wants a Transformer, but you don't want to break the bank or risk them with anything that's genuinely expensive to buy. Authentics are like $10, $15 figures depending on the size. Like they are pretty affordable, and they do get the job done. You can see Mirage actually has a pretty decent vehicle mode. He looks pretty good. The robot mode even looks fine outside of like his arms being kind of broken. But beyond that, yeah, it's actually one of the better looking Authentics figures I've seen. Obviously articulation is barely existent, but it's surprisingly nice. You know, I'm pretty sure, I know, you know, there are going to be people who are going to try this out just as a curiosity. Is the spoiler the feet? I didn't get a look at that. The weirdly round head is bugging me a little bit. That's a little odd. It's also not very well molded from what I can see. Yeah, the spoiler is the feet. So it's doing like a Classics Mirage thing there. Not a bad figure. Not bad for Authentics. I'm sure a Mirage collector is going to go nuts looking for that one. We have in-hand images of the Bump of Chicken Convoy, the one that is multicolored. I got into a debate at the toy shop this week about like Optimus Prime has been done in just about every color at this point, and it goes, has he been done in rainbow? And I say he just was. This is technically a rainbow convoy. It's as garish in person as it was in the sample images. I don't know what else to say about this. I think it's one of the more ridiculous exclusives they've ever done. Whenever they let some kind of celebrity or designer do a Transformer toy, it's almost never going to look good. It's always going to be some super weird thing with no care or consideration to color or looks. It's just going to be odd. It's like they let every member of the band pick a different section of the toy, and they went with that color, whatever color that band member wanted. I mean, it's definitely unique. It looks like a cheap knockoff, but it's definitely unique. So something for the oddity collectors out there, I guess. Okay, something else announced at CybertronCon, but compared to like the Age of the Primes and the Sonic crossover stuff, I didn't really feel like this was all that important. I didn't feel like this really warranted a mention alongside all that, so we've saved it for today. We have talked about the upcoming new version of the Hero Mashers, if I can get to the in-package photo of them. So the new one is the Mixmashers. And this time, instead of starting with like Marvel and Star Wars, we're just going straight into Transformers. Unlike the previous ones, they don't come with random bits for other random characters. They just kind of like the evergreen versions of a lot of characters. And the whole gimmick is you can pull them apart and put them back together. And you can mix and match parts between them to create your own bots. On paper, this always sounds like a fun little idea. But as you can see, they never look good. Like, if the bots had a way of matching, or the aesthetics matched a little bit, I think this would be a little bit more interesting. But as it stands, I'm not sure why you'd want to combine a gorilla and a jet transformer, but there you go. See, Optimus and Megatron get the larger sets that come with additional parts. They all come with like one additional accessory part just so you can play with the swapping gimmick on its own. But the bigger sets come with, you know, bigger pieces of armor. And these photos do the one thing, they failed to do the one thing that I actually want to see. So Megatron and Optimus both come with what looks like this orange armor. You see how much bigger the large ones are. But they both come with this orange armor that looks like it's inspired by the Cyberverse Arc armor that they did years ago. Which is always a look I kind of liked. I actually always weirdly liked that toy. You know, and there you see Prime comes with the gauntlets and the boots. Megatron comes with the backpack. And at no point have I seen images that actually show me what all of it looks like together. I just kind of want to see what the whole package looks like, please. I'm wondering if anyone can use it. If, like, this is actually sized for Optimus and Megatron, or if anyone can attach that armor. Because they're not showing that swapped around to other characters. But, yeah, it's just it's a weird little distraction toy. They try every few years to get this gimmick to work, and it seems like it always dies out, so we'll see how it does this time. For something else a little bit different, you have the Action Battlers. These are blind box transformer kits, and yeah, it's pretty standard fare. These are all the official Wave 1 renders, so you can get to see exactly what they're going to look like. They're all pretty much G1 inspired, maybe a little bit of added detail, a little bit of added sculpting to keep them interesting. So we've talked a lot about the Blockies here on this channel, and I really do like the Blockies product. This one, in comparison, seems like they're going with all the heavy hitters straight out of the gate, whereas Blockies set themselves up for, like, multiple waves of releases by, like, limiting all the major characters, you know? Optimus and Megatron might have been in box 1, but Bumblebee was in a different box. Shockwave was in a different box. Starscream was in a different set. This one? No, it looks like they're going with all the heavy hitters right out of the bat. Interesting choice. Let's see. I'm not sure. I've not seen these in hand yet, so I don't know how they compare. But like, yeah, if you want something that's just straight up G1 little kits and then like completely proportional and no real like twist to them, then yeah, like these are going to be available. Something else showed off at CybertronCon. A lot of Transformer partner brands were there. So like 3-0 was there with their DLX movie Ironhide and Jazz prototypes, so we can get to take a look at them. No surprise for 3-0, there is an incredible amount of sculpted detailing within the armor bits on these designs. It's movie style, but also like gone to the extreme with the detailing the way 3-0 likes to do. I don't need to keep harping on what I think of movie aesthetics at this point, but I will say they are capturing them very, very well. They are incredibly detailed. This is one of those cases where I think the all-gray prototype is actually hindering it because the designs are so complex. I really need color divisions in order to see like all the detail very clearly. So it's getting a little bit lost here. Like in all flat gray, it's getting a little bit lost. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what these guys look like in full color. Yeah, and then they tease that, yeah, there's an Optimus on the way. There is, I believe, a Starscream on the way, from the looks of it. The fall, I can't tell. I can't tell these silhouettes. Point being, yeah, brand new ones on the way. YOLO Park showed off the official images and opened the pre-orders for their Mirage from Rise of the Beast, one of my favorite things about that movie. Mirage is such a complicated design that none of the official Transformer toys got correct, because as usual, it's just an incredibly detailed and complicated movie design that isn't really possible to render in transforming plastic properly. So if you want something that looks like the screen character, you gotta go with the action figure lines, and this is a really, really good one. We've talked about YOLO Park in the past. They do some really good quality work. So if you need that as an action figure, they are not a bad option. These will come with a little bit of assembly, but it's very easy assembly. It's nothing that's going to set you aside an entire afternoon. Yeah, Mirage looks great. Yeah, he looks absolutely fantastic. Colors are spot on, details spot on. He looks very articulated. Do we get, like, do we get a shot of accessories? Let's actually cut to that. Okay, so you're getting a display base, which includes a claw, so you can have him in aerial poses. Looks like the only accessories you're going to get are going to be his arm cannons, which I guess he didn't really use anything else, so I guess it works. I guess that's fine. Yeah, Mirage on the way. Someone took a quick photo in hand of that upcoming Transformers Bitty Pop Funko. So the whole gimmick, if you missed my news roundup on this before, they're doing a whole line of these where the head actually opens up and you can put a little like mini pop inside. Now a lot of it makes sense. Okay, they're doing one for Gundam, so you put a little Amuro inside, things like that. You know, and then the face is clear, so you can see the pilot inside. That doesn't make it makes sense for Soundwave because yes, he has little characters inside of him, but they aren't pilots. They aren't driving Soundwave. It's a weird call. It's a really weird call, but at least Transformers is getting a little bit of oddballs items to collect. And speaking of oddball items, we're going to end off today talking about Transformers Hydropods, another little gimmicky toy line by Hasbro. So the idea behind these is you take that little pod that you see there on the left, you fill it full of water, like you dunk it into water, and as it fills up, a head floats up into the dome. You then plug it into place with a little target that fits on top. Have you ever had like a drink with? You ever had like a drink with a straw, and you like put your finger on top of the straw, and then picked it up out of the drink, and the fluid that's inside the straw didn't fall because you've created an air vacuum, and since air cannot get into it, nothing can leave it. This is working with the same principle. Once you cap it off, you're creating an air vacuum that keeps the head floating there, even though the bottom does have vents to let the water out. So the idea is to fill these up and then take the little ring launchers, launch them at the target, and once you knock the target off, the head sinks and everything spills out. And if you've added red food coloring to the water, your very morbid child seek help. But it's a weird little gimmicky kids toy. They've done these for other things, and they've created their own stuff before. This is just the Transformers version, but it's definitely the oddest thing of the week, which means it ends up at the end of the news roundup. So that's it for the news for the week. This is why I did that's why I did the whole CybertronCon reveals as separate videos, because look, we've already gone over 20 minutes and we barely even touched on those. So there we go. That's your news for the week. Thank you everyone for watching. I will see you next time.
Analysis complete. Adapting translators to local language.
Are you out there?